All right, let's go. Hi, my beautiful listeners. Welcome to another episode of Mindful, the podcast. Now, today we have a special guest. We have a special interview with a remarkable lady, and her name is Elen Sentier. I hope I'm getting my French right.
You are indeed. You are indeed.
Now, Ellen is a best-selling author. She has written 12 books on the British Native Shamanism, and she'll tell us a little about that. And she is a transpersonal psychotherapist, a motivational speaker, a life coach, and a podcaster. Now, she's deeply connected to nature and helps our clients to work real, live, wild magic in their personal lives and in their businesses. Now, Ellen has a saying which I totally agree with. If the cat and the boyfriend disagree, get rid of the boyfriend. I so agree with that, Ellen. Get rid of the boyfriend.
It's probably the right choice.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Claudine. It's really good to be here and talking across the world as we are. It's really good.
That's great. That's great. Now, Helen, you have such a fascinating background. Can you share a bit about your journey and how you got involved with this type of work?
Oh, yes. In a sense, I've always been because, as you said, I've written a lot about the British Native Shamanism, and that's because I was brought up in it. It's not dead and it's not new age. And there are still a lot of people who've been practicing it for generations, many generations.
And for
And
my listeners who don't know, what is shamanism?
oh, well,
My
it's a
Caribbean
common or
people
garden
might not know.
word in some places. It means one who knows. A shaman is one who knows.
Okay.
So it's not about knowledge, it's about the knowing, your intuition and your instincts very much too. So it's being working with those. And we don't get too much encouragement to do that now. It's all about you've got to think it out. But
Yes.
all of us know that our guts work and they are hot, like the cat and the boyfriend.
Yes. It's all about thinking, yes, knowing it's about the practical nowadays and not trusting your gut sometimes.
Yeah,
And I totally agree with that.
yeah, yeah. So that's really what it's about. So I was brought up in that, and I did my first degree, which was in dance, drama, and art. And I was going to teach it, but I decided I wouldn't. Not because of the kids are fine, but the teachers at the time were like, really? They were not that good. So I went off and did something completely different and ended up being a software engineer.
Oh, wow.
And yep, very different. And then I got rheumatoid arthritis, and this is the only bit you can see, but
Okay.
it's in. So I could not do my job anymore. I lost my job. Well, had to give it up, and I was what 40 something, and
Uh-oh.
so you don't want to stop life. I was in no mood for sort of bingo and afternoon TV or anything like that. I wanted to do things. And so by accident, I don't really believe in accidents. I don't think you do either.
No.
But by accident, I was taken by a friend to hear this talk, this man. And he was talking about transpersonal psychotherapy. And the way he talked and what he said, though I can't remember it now, what he said, it was like that's it. That's what I want to do. That's where I've got to go. So I rushed up at the end of the talk and said, where do I sign? When do I start? In the usual sort of idiotic, daft way that we do when we're really excited. And so that sort of set me into doing the psychotherapy and the coaching and teaching it as I do now.
And that's great. And I hope my listeners have been tuning into you because, I realize that listening to you talk, you have done so many things. You haven't let anything stop you,
No.
from one thing to the other, a little
Yeah.
obstacle here and there, but you move into something else.
Yeah.
And that is what I want to bring home to my listeners. We don't just stop at one thing. Something doesn't work out, we call it quits.
Move. Yeah.
There are many other things that we can do and we can try, just
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah. And I think everyone should, and I think every woman should give it a go too, because so often we think, oh, well, that's over, I can't do any more. And you think, no, it's not. You can always move and do something new. And it's so important because it just keeps you so fresh, doesn't it, Claudine?
That's true. That's true. It does. And we tend to fall into that victim mentality sometimes when,
Yeah.
all our hopes, we put our hopes and dream on maybe one thing and then we realize it's not working out. And then,
Yeah.
say the victim, oh no, this is all crashing. What am I gonna do?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
sometimes there's
Yeah.
many other things
Yeah.
that you can do. And it's just like me with this podcast. I stumbled upon podcasting, didn't know what that was,
Uh,
and I went into it, and here we are.
yes, indeed. And it's I stumbled into it a couple of years back too. And it's so good because you're talking to people and people come back and talk to you, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you can affect so many lives around the world
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
you are in the
Mm.
UK, and here I am in Jamaica, and we have
Absolutely.
many listeners between us.
Indeed. And I mean, when I'm putting this show out on my YouTube, I'll be saying, and here's Claudine, and they won't have necessarily have the chance to listen to you before, but then they will. So it
Yes,
just connects us, doesn't it? It connects us so well.
it does.
Mm.
And we're going to talk a little bit about, your work and what it means to find your soul's path to success. Can you tell us a little about that? What it means to find your soul's path to success?
Well, we go to school and our parents have ideas of what we ought to be doing, and they say, oh, well, you really want to go and do this, or you want a degree, or you need this kind of training, or whatever it is. And we listen. There's nothing wrong with listening to people. And in fact, important. But quite often, and this happened to me, people sort of said, oh, well, you want to go teaching, you don't want to go doing dance and sort of thing. And who's ever heard of a rich artist? And so it's like, no, what happened? So, are you listening to that? And you're thinking, maybe. But in here, in your heart, you know what you want to do. And it's not logical. You can't reason it, can you? You absolutely know that's what I want to be. I want to do this. And it's learning to follow that rather than doing what people say to you is a good idea.
Yes.
So we can all do that. Don't usually have really the confidence to do it. So some of what I do is help you with the confidence, but also I can help you really touch into your heart, really touch into your instincts and use them and know when they're telling you the truth. And the same with your intuition. And
But
there are
Helen,
ways of knowing You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, you said that, we should do what's in our heart.
Yeah,
But nowadays people will say, can doing what's in my heart pay the bills?
indeed. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, it can. And I'll go into the sort of marketing and branding thing for a moment, because when you go and you sort of say this, God, when you say, what am I going to do? What's my brand? And if you've got a good person helping you, to say, what makes your heart sing? Because that's who you are. And the only thing you can sell, I mean, I might be making a particular flavors of ice cream or doing earrings and jewelry or something. Excuse me. And they'll say, but what is you? And say I was making earrings. I didn't make this one. Somebody else did. But it's very special. And there aren't any more like this. And it's made of particular things. And who made it, that's what made her really fire up. She didn't want to just do silver and jewelry and beads and things like
Yes.
this. She wanted to use special things. And I'm the same in that way, that I use what I was brought up in. I use the magic that I learned as a kiddie, and I'll show you how to do it too. So it's what I am that sells. It's like what Claudine is that
Yes.
sells. It's, you know, some kind of artificial thing on top. And it's being that thing. And yes, honestly, it does pay the bills. I've got a lot of friends who have done the same, art, photography. Some of them are really into copywriting or really into marketing.
Okay.
And there are some who are sort of floating along. And there are some who are going, yes, power it. This is how to do it. And they're getting clients all the time
So
who are really willing to.
it's really doing what you love, finding your little niche.
Yeah, yeah. And that is not just about looking out what niches are out, it's about here again. Because when you do it from the heart, you will do it well. If
That's
you do
so
it and
true.
you've learned it out of a book, you may do it well.
That's true.
But
Because I
likely
get mhm,
you, you just won't days if you're doing it from here.
from the heart.
Yeah.
And that's so true because I always say, taking myself as an example,
Mm.
I love, like you who studied the dance and art. I love those type of things. I love dance. I love the performing arts. I love singing. I love performing arts, anything artsy.
Yeah.
And I always say, in Jamaica, in my days, my younger days, our parents were, the baby boomers who thought that you had to get an occupation. So when you
Yeah.
go to university, everybody had to be a lawyer, a doctor, those type of things. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
loving the dance and loving the performing arts was shelved. That
Mm.
was shelved for me. And I always say, if I had to do it all over again, I would have done that in university because that's where my
Yeah.
heart is.
Yeah.
And but
Yeah. Yeah.
things tend to come full circle because that's why I love podcasting, because that's like a way of,
Yes.
you know, um bringing out that little performing arts, that little artsy side of me. And I
Yeah.
do it so well because I love it. That's what my heart is in.
Yeah.
So you're perfectly
Yeah.
right.
Thank you. I feel that I am, and my clients feel that I am too. And I've been doing this for 30 years. So yeah, they get the hang of it. They sort of go, oh yeah, I see. And the way I teach it, they'll usually come out, well, they come out always of the first session with me going, oh, I'm looking at everything really differently. And
But
that makes a difference.
let me ask you though, because I have struggled, I'm still struggling with um finding my purpose. I've always said, this thing gets thrown around that you must find your purpose. And sometimes,
Yeah.
I went from the extreme of trying to write down every little thing in my life. It's
Oh, I know.
and searching for the purpose, the
Yeah.
passion. And I'm like, where is my purpose? Where is my passion? How do
Yeah.
you how do you find your true purpose? How do you find your true passion? How do you help your clients to find that? Because I'm still struggling.
Yeah. Well, this goes right back that I was brought up in. The very first thing little children are taught to do, because you just do it sitting on mum's knee and that sort of thing, is we make a connection between the earth, the heart of the earth, and the heart of the sun. And it's a meditation. And your mum starts you off with it because she leads you through, and you're going down to the heart of the earth, and you're meeting the earth spirit, and you come back up with her, and you go to the heart of the sun, and you meet the sun spirit, and you come back down, and you always meet together in the heart as well. And then as you go, you visualize, imagine that there's a thread of Eunice, a thread of Claudine that goes down and connects to Mother Earth.
Yes.
And when you go up, you get a thread of Claudine that goes up and connects to the heart of the sun. And when you've done this, I mean, even the first time, because it's how I always start sessions with clients, is leading them through this. And I mean, one was saying to me the other day, and first time I worked with her, and she sort of said, I said, how do you feel now? When she came back from the journey. And she was like this, and she went, I just feel still. And she could feel like, how everything gets in your face.
Yes.
It had gone like this. And she could suddenly breathe and see perspective and not have to fix everything instantaneously. And that was just a start. And we talked about it, and people usually grasp it pretty quickly. I'm sure all our listeners will, that we can't exist without the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We can't live without the earth. We are
Yes.
integrated with her. We're totally intrinsically connected to her. But the earth can't live, and neither can we, without the sun. Because imagine, there's no light, there's no warmth, there's no heat, there's no change of seasons, nothing changing. We couldn't live.
That's true.
And this goes right back. You find it all over the world. We connect to the things that we live with. And once you start that, and I get the clients to do it every day, and it starts seeping into you,
Yes.
and you start to go, oh, I see. And I feel a bit nervous, I've got to take the car in to be mended or something like that. And so you now know that you can just do this connection. You can do it quite quickly once you've got used to it. So, oh, help earth, help sun. And everything goes.
Yes, because I have a friend that she says anytime things are getting a little bit overwhelming for her,
Yeah.
she has to ground herself. And
Yes.
the way she does that is she has to take off her shoes and she has to go in like the grass or the dirt,
Yeah.
bare feet, and just let her feet, she just have to feel the earth on her
Yeah.
feet. And that
Yeah.
is a way of grounding herself. She
Yeah.
has to go bare feet and just feel the earth and just connect a little.
It does work very well. But on the other hand, if there you are in the supermarket and something's happened to overwhelm you, it's a little difficult.
Yes.
And also, it's not just connecting to the earth, it's connecting to the thing, the sun, that brings life to the earth and
Okay.
inspiration. So you need both. Once you've got the idea of this little meditation into your bones, you can do it anywhere.
Okay, so it's a meditation that you learn just to kind of open up your insight, open up, the your way you're feeling, your intuition to just get things open and clear for you.
Yes, and you'll be amazed at what you learn from doing that, because it doesn't just stop there. That isn't just what it's for, but that's where you start. And it's, again, people now a lot about connecting with nature, and it's really important because we can't live without it. And it is so relaxing when we do, go and hear a river or a tree or listen to the birds or something like
Yes,
that.
it is.
But this is even than that. And you find yourself doing it. You're listening to the birds as you're connecting and
Yes.
realizing that you're getting this connection all through everything. And it becomes like a way of life. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But expanding a little, Ellen,
Yep.
I know for me, like living in Jamaica, it's most of the times it's sunny. I
Yes.
can listen to the birds and that sort of thing. So I know it's easy for me to, okay, incorporate nature.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I can just stand outside sometimes and just be still and
Mm-hmm.
just listen to, what's happening around me, and I'll hear the birds,
Yeah.
feel a little cool breeze, feel
Yes.
the warmth of the sun, and
Mm.
just release. But like for persons who, live in city life, as you said, when you're in the supermarket, how do
Yeah.
you how do you get that release? How do you ground yourself when, if you're in the
Through
supermarket and just
through this.
close your eyes?
Because
How do you do it?
through this um exercitation, which you can then do once you've learned it, you can do very quickly. And because you're in the city and because you're in the supermarket and you're surrounded by concrete and paving and tarmac and all this stuff, Earth hasn't gone away.
That's true.
Earth is still there. And
Yes,
the sun hasn't gone away just because you're in artificial light in the supermarket. It's still there.
yes.
And in fact, you couldn't actually make the artificial light if you didn't have the sunlight,
Song. Mhm.
etc., etc. So while it's much easier when you can actually, I mean, I live in the middle of nature. I don't live in a town or a city or even a village. So, I mean, it's just I walk out the door and it's all there, which is gorgeous.
Yes.
But I lived 25 years in London, was working and teaching. This is where I started my practice. And London, of course, is huge and full of traffic and people and concrete and everything. And you still connect. And it's something I work with people who work in cities, and I work in people who work in sort of huge, great office buildings and things like that. And they can do it and they just feel this still happens. It's nice if they've got a tree to do it with.
Yes.
If they haven't, they can still do it.
So it's like when you learn that type of method and meditation, no matter where you are,
Yeah,
once you be still, you'll connect with nature.
yeah, you
I'm
will.
getting it now. I'm getting it.
Yeah. And you find it makes a huge difference and it helps you to be strong enough. You were saying about me earlier that I didn't let anything stop me. And when you've got this like connection to everything that is actually giving you life, you get much stronger to say, okay, so I can't walk, so I can't dance anymore. Fine. I'm going to do this. I've still got the strength to do this. I can still do this work, whatever it is that turns my heart on.
Good. And when you turn your heart on, that gives way for self-discovery.
Yes,
which
it
is
does.
very important,
Yeah.
on anyone's journey.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how do we stay true to ourselves? How do we stay our authentic selves?
As long as you stay connected, you can't be anything else. You'll find you just can't.
That's
And
true.
somebody sort of says, oh, you've got to do this. And you go say, no, sorry, I don't buy into that. Can't do that one. And you can say it in a way that isn't going to completely, start a fight with the person who's just said it to you.
Yes.
And which is, less than comfortable. But you find yourself, I can't do that. Maybe you don't want to put chemicals on your garden. And somebody says, oh, you need to put chemicals on for this and the other. You go, no, actually, I can't do that. So you know where you are, strength, because you've got the connection. You've got the inner strength to say, no.
That's so
And
true. Hmm.
huge, isn't it, Claudine?
It is. And
It's so
I did a couple months ago, I think I did a podcast on, being your authentic self. And it was the same thing. I said it in a different way though, because I was in a little rant. But I was saying, if you stay true to your beliefs and your values, then you will be your authentic self. You will, it will just come out.
yeah,
Because no matter what anybody says
yeah,
to you, you'll be your true authentic self if you stick to just your beliefs and your values.
yeah. You're so right there. And it's fundamental, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. It's really about being you
Being you. And
and living it.
yeah, and I try to be me. I
We all
live
do.
that. My friends will always say, no matter what, you will always be you. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
say and do things my way,
yeah.
anywhere, whether it's work, home,
Whatever it is, wherever
whatever
it
it
is,
is.
that's that's what you do. Yeah, yeah.
So they with me, they say there is no surprises because they know that I'll just be me.
And that's beautiful too, because when, as you just said, there's no surprises because they know you're going to be you. And that is so lovely, isn't it? Because you can really relate to somebody and you're not thinking, oh, what's happening? You
Exactly.
know that Claudine is going to be Claudine, and that's it.
That's it. Take it or
Yeah,
leave it.
yeah, indeed, indeed.
And that has gotten me so far because sometimes, Helen, it's tiring when you have to be thinking about what is this person gonna think of me. Well,
Yeah.
it's just really tiring. And
Mm.
I went through that point in life, and it was so tiring that I'm like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
I just have to be me, no
Yeah,
matter where or what. It takes too much out of you trying to be someone else.
indeed. And in the transpersonal, when I was training, and it's something I use with my clients and say to my clients now, is don't live other people's scripts.
True. So true.
And so many of us think, oh, I can't do that because, what will they think of me, as you just said? And you sort of go, no, that's their thing. Your thing is you. And it takes courage and it takes support. I mean, that's part of what we do, isn't it? That we support
Yes.
others in the journey to become that themselves.
Yes, it
And
does.
yeah. And it's just it's the way to be, I think.
I think so too. I think so too. Just be you, you know, and
Yes.
everything. And I see that everything will just fall in place
Yeah.
when you just be your authentic self.
Yeah.
What's for you will just gravitate and come to you,
Yes, it does.
and
Yes.
you will enjoy it. You
Yeah.
will enjoy doing the task.
Yeah.
You will enjoy that work environment. You will enjoy when you just be authentically you. You will enjoy it,
Yeah.
and
And you'll do it well.
And
because
you'll
you're
do it well.
enjoying it. And it will enable you to pay the bills.
Oh, yes.
Which is important because that's the way we all work. We can't sort of exchange a cabbage for, you know, some rent or something like that. It's,
Exactly.
we exchange money for what we do. And so you've got to have some to give to the people who are delivering your groceries or, you know, doing your garden or whatever it is. And you're going to get that because people will give you the money to help them.
Yes. So it's an exchange. But we spoke about a little meditation, you know, like when we learn connecting to nature and that meditation, then
Yeah.
things will become clearer for us. Is there any more techniques that, you know, that we
Oh,
can?
lots and lots. There's 7 basic skills which I teach all clients, and it's the connection, being present, which is even more than mindfulness. It's you need to be present with yourself, but also completely present with everything that's going on around you, so that you don't disappear into yourself or disappear into some nice place. You're there, but you're connected, you know, still connected, and you're noticing, you know, whether there's somebody at the door. You don't have to answer it, but you're noticing what's on around you. And then there's asking. And it's actually amazing. People think, oh, that's, I'll ask all the time. They don't. People don't. And there's ways of teaching you to ask and learning to know when to ask and how to ask the right question and all of this. And it makes such a difference when you get it. And of course, if you've asked, then you need to learn to listen, because, you know, there's no point asking the question and then going off planet while the person answers you because you didn't hear any of it. And the other part of that is that you need to hear it and hear what they actually say, and not let your brain turn it into something you already know.
Oh, that's important. Because I
It's
know a lot of people don't listen because
no,
they already think they have the answer
it's
in their head.
yeah, yeah. And things go really wrong when you do that, don't they?
Yes, it
And
does.
so, you know, we're learning all of those things and a couple of other things as well. And then it can expand further into your own career, your own what you need to do and how to do it and ways of doing it, which all come from, I don't tell people what to do. And I'm not a do it for you person. I'm a do it with you.
Okay,
And
yes.
the client is always the leader. And whatever I think, I can make suggestions, but it's fine if they don't want to do that. And they will have their goal. And that is so opening up. I mean, we're talking about personal development. That's such a big personal development thing. Somebody's actually letting you choose and not telling you what to do.
What to do? Yes. Self-discovery.
And giving you the chance to actually do it, and the encouragement and the support.
And it's so fulfilling sometimes, you know, when you're on that journey, when you have figured things out, you
Yes.
know, it's so fulfilling sometimes. And it's just like me with this podcast.
Yeah.
As I said, I stumbled upon podcasting, didn't know what that was, you know,
Yeah.
and I've been doing it now for maybe 2 years. Um, but you know, every little thing, um, it has become so fulfilling because um, I didn't know what it was till I started doing it. I didn't
Yep.
know about equipment. I didn't know about a
No.
mic. You know, I'm not techie as we know.
I do. Yeah.
To buying my first mic, to learning, you know, the little ins and outs and that sort of thing. And it was just so fulfilling when you see I go from 0
Yeah.
to 1 to
Yeah.
3 to now
9
I
to
can,
15 to 100 and fix.
I tell you. And along the way, you find, you know, different methods, you find different people. I'm connecting with you in the UK.
Exactly.
And my first, it was just me talking, ranting and raving. My first guests were friends till now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have new friends in the UK. So, it's so fulfilling when, you learn, you go on that path and you do it. I had to do the research, I had to ask the questions, and I got the support from others who said, okay, she's serious about doing things. And maybe it's not a big, okay, here is big equipment, but it's just somebody saying, hey, you can interview people on Zoom.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that just opens up, and you're like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Hey, this is enormous. I can do lots of things.
There you go.
And it just opens things up. And when things open up, it's such fun, isn't it?
Such fun. And you
Mm.
appreciate it more.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
And as you said, your heart sings.
Yeah.
And your heart sings because you're the one going through it. You're the one making the discovery. So, the fulfillment is much, much greater.
It is. And the other little thing with that is you never forget what you've learned fully for yourself.
That's
You
so
can
true.
forget what other people tell you, but if you've done it, know it, got it. And the old saying for us here in Britain is, you know it in your bones.
Yes.
It's not in here. You've got it. It's right
It's right
inside.
here.
Yeah.
It's inside.
Yeah.
Helen, there is a little saying. Well, I know you have written and talked about it, rewilding your
Yeah.
heart. What does that mean?
Well, we've talked about it in a sense.
Okay.
We're trying to be the real person inside. Now, that
Okay.
real person is wild. You get tamed by school, you may get tamed by your job, you may get tamed by friends and relations and all this sort of thing. And you're still back at this, like inside, this sort of well-behaved, nice person is this person who goes, I just want to go on zip line. Yeah, I just want to go on a zip wire. I want to go skiing. I just want to go out and spend 3 nights in a row on my own in the countryside. And everybody goes, oh, well, what's going to happen? And you go, nothing. I'm going to meet a hedgehog. So it's that person who we are all wild. We let ourselves be tamed, and we don't need to be tame.
I love that. I love that. Because we
Yeah.
are society, and society's norms and values has
Yeah.
tamed a lot of us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so true. And as we said earlier, we said that we tend to go with what people want us to do.
Yeah.
We tend to
Yeah.
do um what we know will pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that's taming us. That's really taming us. So I know a lot of persons are just walking around not being happy, not being themselves.
Exactly.
Because they're
And
tamed to,
yeah.
societal norms and values.
Yeah. Yeah. And the unhappiness is probably not making them sick in their bodies as well, because things don't work properly when you're unhappy. Your body functions don't work properly when you're unhappy. You don't even breathe when you're unhappy, let alone anything else. And so we're creating people who are like that. The shoulders go up and you start going stiff. And I was over exaggerating it, but there are a lot of people who live in this wary state, this worried, am I doing this right? Am I performing this right? Have I got the right answer?
True.
I don't think it does society any good any more than it does us any good either. But
No, but a lot of people don't realize that because you become um so tamed and so in tune to just
Yeah.
getting it done, the whole routine, and
Yeah.
not being you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you like, sometimes people will just, if you like reading a book, sometimes people say, oh, I don't have time because I have to, we put everything down to the time of doing this. I
Yeah.
don't have the time to do the relaxing stuff, to
Yeah.
even to spend time with family,
Yeah.
because even me, sometimes you have to make the effort.
Yeah. You do. And you have to make the choices too.
Yes, you
And
do.
sometimes not everybody's going to like the choice that you make. And that's actually okay.
That is okay.
Mm.
And I tell you a little story that I like going to the movies by myself. I like
Yeah.
I have no problem being by myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes just to ground me, I need that time to be by myself.
Mm.
And I said it to a couple of friends the other day. I said, I'm going to the movies. And they're like, with who? And I'm like, by myself. And they were so the movie, they were so flabbergasted. You
Yeah.
going by yourself to do
Yeah.
what? Just sit. So I'm like, it's the same thing. Like if you're home by yourself and watching the TV,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
it's the same
Exactly.
thing. And they're like, we're
Yeah.
coming with you because you can't go to the movie. And I'm like, stop, hold on there. I don't want anyone with me. I say that's my time. I don't want
Yeah.
you coming with me this time. This time I want to be by myself,
Yeah.
watching what I want to watch at the cinema and have
Mm.
nobody in my ear, and I'll just sit there and just eat my popcorn and be me,
Yep.
laugh out loud.
I think that's gorgeous. And I like to be on my own too. So no, I don't want anybody with me. I want to do this on my own.
And they couldn't understand,
No.
that you want to be by yourself. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Hold up, it's my time. I
Yeah.
don't need you there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if any of you ever come, pretend you don't know me because I don't want to be around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes they call you harsh because
Mm.
that's what they're like, that's harsh. You wouldn't know us. And I'm like, no, I don't want to know you at that point. I wanna
Exactly.
I wanna be me, and I wanna just have my moment.
Yeah. And it's me time. And it's so important. We need to be able to say, no, I don't want anybody with me.
Yeah,
This is me time. Leave me alone. And but I think people have gotten to the idea that if you say leave me alone, that you don't like them anymore. And
um,
you say, well, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just I need me time.
that's it.
But sometimes you feel like sort of adding on and saying, but if you push me on this and you come with me, I might not like you anymore.
Which is what I did. I'm like, I don't know you guys. Don't come near
They're
me.
just out of my space.
But sometimes you have to be harsh sometimes. And especially in your life, in your
Yeah,
business, sometimes it takes that. You have to be harsh to say, this is what I
yeah,
want to do.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
what I feel in my heart to do.
I think that is so important. I mean, that is about finding your soul path and about finding your courage to actually say, no, this is what I'm doing. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means this is what I'm doing. And the other thing, which of course lots of people do need, is I don't need you to like what I'm doing.
True, true,
I'm
true, true
still
words.
going to enjoy it. And I don't need your approval. I don't need you to like what I'm doing. It's fine.
And I wish more persons in this world,
Oh, I
would
agree.
come to that realization and just, and say, I don't want you. I don't need you to
No.
like what I'm doing. I'm just gonna be doing me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I quite agree with you. We all ought to be doing that. and not taking offense when somebody does it to us, because it's fine. They just want to be them.
That's true. I have no problem if somebody say, hold on there, don't need you right
Nope.
now.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right, when you need me, holla. All right, wrapping up a little, Ellen. What advice would you give to my listeners, who wants to have that little spark or make their heart sing, who want to be on that journey for success but just don't know how to?
I was, when I first started the training, somebody gave me a Snoopy cartoon plaque, which I actually keep in the room here. And what it says is everybody needs, and find yourself a co-pilot that you like, that you love, that you know how it is. You meet somebody, you go, I really like that person.
Yes.
You've got to have that kind of chemistry. Find yourself someone who will support you and be your co-pilot. And then say, this is what I want to do. I haven't got a clue how to do it. Can you help? You'll get there.
That's true. Yeah,
You'll get there.
that's true. And some people are lucky enough that they will have somebody already there or persons, but sometimes you have to find that person.
You do.
And I realize that sometimes that person might not be in your immediate circle,
Okay.
but sometimes it might be a stranger, it might be somebody outside of your normal circle that's going to help you to align. And that's so true.
I think, to be honest, it probably will be somebody who's outside of your circle, because you're actually moving to a new place. And so you need someone out there who's already there and saying, come on, let's do this.
That's so important because a lot of us struggle because we have the ideas, but we might not have that immediate support.
No.
And some of us fall apart because the person or persons who we thought would have given us that support
Is not.
is
No.
not.
No.
That's true. So sometimes you have to, as you said before, you have to open up. You have to
You do.
listen, ask questions, don't be afraid
Indeed.
to say what you want to do, because sometimes someone outside will hear what you want to do and then offer that
Yeah.
support and advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do what your heart says and what your heart, do what your heart, because people will realize when you're doing what you love, when you
Yeah.
talk about it all the
It
time.
shines, doesn't it? It shines out of you.
Yes.
Absolutely does.
And
Yeah.
someone will recognize that
Yeah.
and say, hey, I noticed that you've been doing or talking about this.
Yeah.
And they'll offer the support.
Yeah. They
But
will.
Helen, I realize a lot of time though, when people offer the support, we get afraid. And we
Yeah.
said, oh no, that person is saying, but am I worthy of that person's help and support?
Yeah. And that happens all the time. And it's part of this journey, which is right, this ability to say no, and this ability to not listen to what other people say. Well, not to live other people's scripts. Listen to them, but then say, no, I want to go this way. And the people who will help you, they'll be there. They'll be there.
And
Even if you've never in your whole life.
Things will just fall in place and align.
Yeah.
Before we go though, Helen, I want to get into your business a little, because I heard that was it you kissed Mick Jagger? How did that happen?
I've done some crazy things in my life. I had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And I was about, say, 16, something like that. And he was at London University.
Yes.
And at the time, the Rolling Stones were just starting. And they used to play at a hotel, a station hotel in Richmond, which is just outside of London. And there was a group of us used to go around together, and he said, so my boyfriend sort of said, hey, come on, we've got to go down to the Station Hotel, Richmond. You know, there's a great band on there. They're really great. You've got to come and listen. And he knew Mick Jagger because he was at London University, and Mick Jagger was at the London School of Economics.
Oh.
And so, you know, they were students and they'd met, and that sort of thing, and the band. So we went down, and it was a great evening, fantastic music. And hey, Mick, you're going to meet my girlfriend. And so I was just scooped up into Mick's arms and kissed.
Wow.
And I mean, why not? Why not, indeed? You know, and
And
nobody was
years
jealous or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, that's what you did. That's how it was.
And then years later, the Rolling Stones got so big, and Mick Jagger, and then you have a story. I mean, life. That's great. That's great.
It's fun. It's fun.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ellen, for coming on this podcast and sharing, your wisdom and your insights, with us. And thank you so much for giving us that little inspiration, you know, um, to just connect with nature, connect with ourselves.
Yeah.
I can just let me recap what the little insights that you gave us. You know, you taught us to listen to our heart. To not live what other people want us to do, not live by other people's script, but to live our own and to just listen to our hearts and to do what our heart, what our heart says and do what our heart sings,
Yeah.
to be you, to be your authentic self. And from that, your branding, your marketing, everything will just come out from that, being just yourself. And, you taught us to connect with nature. Sometimes it's in the being still and the being present, listening to nature, just being there, being present, connecting with nature, that's going to help us to, be who we want to be,
Yeah.
right? And to always listen to our inner voice. Always. It's always right to listen to your inner voice. And and lastly, always get a co-pilot. Find someone who will support you. Find
Yeah.
someone who will help you to give you that little push. Because we know that sometimes the journey is hard. So we just need that little person, which can be in your circle, outside of your circle, but someone to just give you that little push when you need it. So those are my takeaways.
Right.
So thank you so much, Helen, for coming on the podcast again and for just enlightening us, giving us little tips on how, we can listen to our heart and to do what our heart says we should do, and for just inspiring us. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
hope
you,
we can do this
Claudine.
again.
I hope we can. Thank you so much, Claudine.
Thank you so much.